Michael Jordan was not an NBA legend, he was overrated. Subscribe to our channel and comment down below saying I subscribed to enter this month's shoutout giveaway. Jordan wasn't clutch. Let's just get it out of the way. Jordan was not a clutch player. Everyone seems to remember that Jordan was a master clutch, a killer on the court who struck when he smelled blood. The fact of the matter though is his apparent clutch gene is more of a product of our tainted memory than it is supported by numbers. The following stats will show you why. When we look at the numbers, we see that Jordan was a very good defender during his career, scored the ball incredibly well, and while he scored under 50% of the time, he still found ways to be efficient. However, when we speak about being clutch, it's specifically in the big moments, the playoffs, the finals, or game-winning situations. When Jordan smelled blood, he had the opportunity to eliminate an opponent, and he did so 75% of the time, with a record 30-10. His shooting percentage dropped a whopping 9% in these situations, his rebounds decreased by 1.4, his assists by 2.1, and he had 0.8 fewer steals and 0.6 fewer blocks. That doesn't sound like killer instincts to me. In fact, it's more like letting a fish off the hook. He scored less, missed more, played far worse defense, and didn't help the team with assists or rebounds. When Jordan's back was against the wall and he had to save his season, he was able to save himself 41.7% of the time, with a record of 5-7. When Jordan faced elimination, he shot worse from the field and from the free throw line. He stole the ball 0.7 fewer times per game and turned the ball over 1.5 more times. He only scored 2.7 more points per game. Playoff record. When the playoffs and finals came around, games that determine a player's ability to be a champion, Jordan shot a worse percentage from the field and the free throw line. He scored 3 more points, but he also had fewer steals, fewer blocks in the finals, more turnovers in the playoffs, and rebounded less. In conclusion, Jordan vastly regressed in some major statistical categories during key moments, even when he had the opportunity to eliminate an opponent or save his own skin. During other vital moments, his stats regressed and rarely improved vastly, and why we say we consider a clutch player to do so. Jordan only removed from a team 75% of the time, and when he faced elimination, he only won 41% of the time. Jordan only shot 5-11 on go-ahead shots in the postseason, or 45.5%. Of those 5, 3 were buzzer beaters. Weak league. The 90s was an expansion league. Jordan won his 6 rings in 1991, 92, 93, 96, 97, and 1998. He had 2 3-peat performances that were separated by a short stint in baseball. While many believe this solidifies him as the greatest, they often failed to look at the league surrounding him at the time. Between the years of 1988 and 1995, the NBA expanded. 6 teams were added: the Hornets, Heat, Magic, Timberwolves, Raptors, and Grizzlies. The following stats cover the time between their creation as a team and their first playoff appearance. They include their overall game record, the number of games played against Jordan, the overall record of Jordan versus the team in those years, and their playoff record against each other if applicable. Jordan played in a league that was watered down throughout his career. As the new expansion teams finally got to the playoffs, and many didn't stay long, new teams continued to flood the league. At any given time in his career after 1988, there were at least 3 teams that had 5 or fewer years of experience. Aside from this, the leagues were incredibly top-heavy. After the first expansion of Jordan's career in 1988, the following were the number of teams that had a 500 record or worse. If you look at the numbers throughout his career, there were a lot of losers in the league. More specifically, if you look at the 6 years Jordan won titles, 4 of them had more losing teams in the league than winning teams. 6 rings. While it's impressive that Jordan won 6 rings in his career, he also did a fair share of losing. Based on the number of teams that admitted to the playoffs, if you're knocked out in the first round, you could be ranked at 16th or worst and 9th at best. The ranking goes up to 8th and 5th during the season round. If eliminated during the conference finals, you could be ranked at 4th at worst or 3rd at best. Losing the finals obviously means you are 2nd best in the league. Jordan lost in the first round of the playoffs 3 times, the second round twice, and the conference finals twice. He was 1st or 2nd in 6 of his 15 seasons. He was the best in the league 40% of the time. He was 3rd or 4th 13% of the time. He was 5th through 8th 13% of the time, and he ranked 9th and lower 20% of the time. Seeing how in his 3 first round exits he only won 1 game total, it's easy to see how he probably ranked 13th or 14th in the league, being that there were only 14 teams in the playoffs at the time. Would the greatest player of all time be ranked between 5 and 14 at the end of a season 3rd of the way into his career? Absolutely not. The end of Jordan's career. While reading Jordan's placement stats above, you may have thought that the math doesn't add up. That's because 14% of the time, Jordan was on the league's worst teams and failed to make the playoffs at all. When Jordan returned to the league for his final 2 seasons, he failed to make the playoffs in both. Yes, he was 38 and 39 years old at the time, but shouldn't the greatest player ever be able to make the playoffs at a time when more than half the league gets in, especially when he's a seasoned veteran champion? He's only won 37 games in each of those final seasons, needing only 42 to get into the playoffs in both. It was a sad career ending for a man who was once an offensive force to be reckoned with. He's not the GOAT. Jordan was a great player, let me make that clear. I believe he's one of the best players, best scorers ever, and a great competitor who changed the game. However, he unfortunately didn't excel and overachieve when big games came around. He played in a weak league and never beat an opponent opponent on his level in their prime. He was regularly beaten by those who challenged his greatness, and he failed to make the playoffs at the end of his run. I believe that all of this adds up to a great player who wasn't challenged enough in his career to be boasted as the greatest player ever. Players like Kareem, Bird, Magic, and LeBron James all had to face dynasties at various points in their careers, sometimes on multiple occasions. Their argument will never be settled, but don't allow a cloud of sentiment and nostalgia to blur the truth of the matter. Jordan was a great player, but he's still overrated. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you can stay up to date on all our future videos. Also, watch the 2 videos that are currently on your screen, because I'm sure you'll love them. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.